we're going to read the Higurasis. Yeah, I'm bored. I call it Higurashi. No! I'm hearing myself talk. Be quiet, me. Shh. I don't want to hear myself talk. Ew. I'm sorry I didn't stream yesterday. I was just really tired and I don't know, I just couldn't bring myself to do anything. I don't know. So, let's start this. Higurashi When They Cry, Kamikashimashi chapter. The tragedy spreads to Okinomiya with no end in sight. Who is at the end of all this, and for what purpose? Can it be stopped? The tale of Higurashi outbreak concludes here. The difficulty is inhuman. Please watch over the club members' final battle. Alright. Let's do this. I love this song, by the way, if you didn't know. In the distant town of Okinomiya, we saw smoke rising from fires here and there. We had a very clear... No! Let's start that all over. In the distant town of Okinomiya, we saw smoke rising from fires here and there. We had a very clear view of it as it hung ominously over the whole town. Occasionally the wind carried the sound of screams, raging and unidentifiable. These portentous noises echoing the quiet town. It sounds like something's dying cry. This isn't just in Hinamizawa, huh? Does this mean the virus has finally spread to Okinomiya? Rika had stayed behind in Hinamizawa of her own volition. We tried to stop her since it was dangerous. But seeing this sight, maybe it was really better to stay in Hinamizawa where we knew our way around. Mia was still injured, but for the time being, she seemed stable. Still, she'd only been given first aid. She still needed to see a doctor. The rioters had broken into the Irie clinic, and so it was abandoned, and Irie was nowhere to be found. Anyway, we need to find you a doctor. I'm doing fine. Sure, it hurts, but it's settled down a lot. No, if you don't get proper treatment, then it could fester later. We'll just have to search for a doctor. It's hard to imagine any doctors are open for business with things like this. Let's head for the office of the Sonozaki group. My mother and the others are there. It should be able to do something. You think Shi-chan's there too? Given what's happened, that's the safest place to be. I just hope those people are still reasonable. Anyway, let's check out the town. We can't stay up here forever. Right. Is this disaster only happening here, or has it expanded out to the rest of Japan? We don't know anything here in Hinamizawa. The idea that this could be happening all over the world. I don't want to think about it. Let's go. I'm alright. I can walk by myself. Normally we go to Okinomiya by bicycle, but it was easy to imagine that riders would be acting like the neighborhood watch here in Okinomiya like they were in Hinamizawa. The whole virus commotion originated in Hinamizawa, so the people in Okinomiya should naturally view everyone coming from Hinamizawa as an enemy. We decided it was too dangerous to move on roads likely with a watch on them, so we headed there on foot using backpaths instead. The kind of routes used by gatherers, the elderly, the children that ran around the fields of Hinamizawa were the safest ones, while Keiichi and the others were headed to Okinomiya. Keiichi's parents had evacuated themselves to Sonozaki's secret underground tunnels. There were already some resources stored down there, so they'd be safe for a while. Still, they needed to reach a place that was even safer, one with plenty of food and medical treatment. Confirming whether or not such a place as safe even existed was their biggest objective behind scouting out Okinomiya. There's mounds of corpses.
It's an awful sight.
The miserable remains of those beaten to death by the riders lay here and there on the shoulders of the streets. Even Hanyu shook her head at the swarm of flies and the pervasive stench of death. But it's grown quieter.
Yes, it has.
This is about the time when nearly all those who let their demons of paranoia into their hearts die off, after trying to kill each other. That roaring wind was like the ominous groan of a dragon, could no longer be heard. As it enveloped Hinamizawa, in its place was the silence of death, the screams of those who allowed the demons into their hearts and began killing each other, could no longer be heard either.
But it doesn't hurt to be cautious.
True. I can't die before I see how this crazy world ends.
Where are you going?
The Erie Clinic's basement. That should be the safest place in Hinamizawa right now, don't you think? The underground research ward was filled with the silence of death as well. So as long as she didn't mind the corpses and the trails of bright red blood splatter staining the pale walls, it was a perfect place to hide out for a while. Are there still violent ones in the village?
Yes, I think it should quiet down soon, but for now...
Then it's settled. Let's wait for the heat to die down. We should be able to find someone's drinks and snacks down there. Plus the bathrooms are nice. Rika and Hanyu made their way to the Irie Clinic. After all that time they spent searching Rika and Hanyu made their way to the Irie Clinic. After all that time they spent researching the disease, it turned out they were just a den of incompetents, unable to do anything at all. They passed through the animal trails in the mountains, and through the footpaths between the fields. Sometimes they held their breath and tried to sense the presence of nearby people, while other times they ran like rabbits. Then once they jumped right over the guardrails. They were in Okinomiya. Every now and then the wind would carry a roar from the distance, along with smoke and the smell of something burning. The town was deathly quiet, but it wasn't dead. The riders who allowed paranoia into their hearts were only lying in wait as they teemed with rage.
It might be more dangerous here than in Hinamizawa.
Agreed. I've got nothing but bad feelings about this.
Are there riots here because of the fear about the virus as well?
This is just my theory, but I think this might be a symptom of the virus, actually.
Maybe so. What do you mean?
So it's like a human version of rabies. I thought everyone was going crazy out of fear of this killer virus, but that's not enough to explain everything.
An illness that stokes unfounded fears and suspicions until the victim is driven by nothing else. Does a disease like that really exist? I mean, they never mention any of that on TV.
TV doesn't always tell the truth. Besides, there's a possibility the killer virus part is just a wrong guess. They're both equally frightening, that's for sure.
But why are we fine then? Maybe we're resistant?
Well, even if we're not showing any symptoms, we can't rule out the possibility that we're still carrying the disease. Is it really okay for us to go into the city like this? It shouldn't be a problem, not judging by this state of affairs. We carefully advanced, checking to make sure the roads were clear. Abandoned cars formed lines on the city streets. Okay, I want to do one thing. Hold on. Okay, there. Sorry if there wasn't any audio, but now there is. Some cars had crashed into each other and were still smoking at various intersections. Even on the sidewalks, we saw the scattered remains of people murdered under the suspicion of being infected. I just hope Shio and Mio's parents are still sane. Mom and Dad are keeping everyone in line, I'm sure.
Shion does have a quick temper. There's a huge gap between how Shi-chan acts when she's calm and when she isn't. I'm a little worried about her.
She'll be fine. She won't talk back to Mom at times like this. I'm sure Mom will be keeping everyone organized. If Oreo had been healthy, even Hinamizawa Town Council wouldn't have lost its cool. Mion had already gotten a taste of how strong leadership could prevent chaos ahead of time. This virus probably drives people to attack others out of fear and anxiety. So with strong leadership, teamwork, and trust, they should be able to maintain their senses. You think the virus commotion fostered fear and their terror ran rampant? That idea feels right to me. At the very least, even Hinamizawa didn't start acting weird up until the JSDF left and stopped doing their jobs.
That is true. Once the JSDF left, everyone grew frightened all at once, and the world went mad.
Sadako raised her voice to note that sudden memory.
That reminds me, Rika said something too. She said that people with strong hearts will be fine since you won't hand them over to the demons.
Rika said that?
Yes. I just assumed she meant something along the lines of illness starts in the mind, but...
Maybe there is a chance she meant exactly what she said. There was that very moment when blood rushed to our heads when Rena and I went to rescue Sadako. Maybe that was really risky for the two of us.
Maybe so, but we managed to stay calm even as that fire burned strong in our hearts.
Let your heart run hot and keep your thoughts cool. Maybe that's the reason we didn't end up like the others. It's because we've been training ourselves for these kind of situations in Mion's club. If you lose your cool and hand your heart over to primal emotions, then you go crazy. If you call the result of that process a demon, then it fits with the legends passed down long ago about Onigafuchi village. You mean that legend about the demons coming up and out of the swamp? I'm sure something similar to that happened long ago. And I'm positive that people thrown into paranoia and running about out of control were called demons.
Makes sense. I think we're getting a grasp of what's going on.
Still, if there were legends left about it, then that means the whole thing was settled and people survived. So, this isn't hopeless. We have hope.
Right. This commotion isn't going to destroy the world. There's guaranteed to be a way to end it. Is waiting for Oyashiro to descend the only option we have?
That's how it ended back then according to the legends. The people were unable to do anything except wait for Oyashiro's descent.
Are you saying all we can do is wait, even with all this going on?
If we're going to follow the legends... Yeah, come on already! Oyashiro, if you're out there watching this, then make with the descent and put a stop to this! Nah, she's just chilling with Rika.
Hat!
Can gods catch colds?
Humans are the only ones that can sneeze, you know.
The Irie Clinic had been ransacked by rioters. Believing the rumors that a cure was hidden here, they had swarmed in en masse. But that only applied to the sections on the surface. Their riot hadn't extended to the secret research ward underground. There's nothing here, though. If Irie were around, he would have taken action long ago.
We mustn't avert our eyes.
There were several corpses gathering flies there in the plundered clinic. Those who believed in the cure ultimately became convinced that someone there was hiding it and began to kill each other. Hanyu covered her eyes after all, but Rika stepped over the corpses without any concern. Some of the corpses were even familiar faces to her, but Rika didn't seem to care. She passed through the secret door and headed underground. It was far safer to stay behind the secret security door than on the surface. After all the researchers here were either murdered or they killed themselves. There was nothing safer than a place completely devoid of others. The security system confirmed that it was Furude Rika, and the door opened. Even though her expression never changed at the sight of the corpses, she heaved a sigh of relief when she confirmed the door was shut behind her. Now we can do as we please. Be that sleep through this or snack on the treats someone stored down here. There's no one else here after all.
I'm surprised you're able to stay so calm amidst that dreadful sight. I don't know if that's you being strong or shameless.
I've experienced death, even my own, more times than I can count. So why should some stranger's corpse face me at this point?
The old Rika was cuter. She was as scared as the one should be for your age.
What should I fear at this point? Well, I suppose you could summon up a ghost. I'd be a little surprised if you did that.
What is it, Rika? Don't start scaring me, okay?
The underground ward was supposed to be empty, but she thought she heard something just then. Was it her imagination? They both glanced at each other, held their breaths, and strained their ears. You hear that, right?
Is it a ghost?
You're practically a ghost yourself, so why are you afraid? Still, what is the sound? Far off in the distance, there was a... They could hear that dull sort of sound repeating over and over. They both nodded to each other and strained their ears, trying to identify the source of the sound. Kill them! Kill them! Kill the infected! Kill them and burn their corpses! Sorry, I don't have any good voices for them. A group of 10 young rioters dashed down the main street. Their clothes were stained with a spray of blood, and their eyes were bloodshot. The bats and metal pipes in their hands were dripping with blood and were bent in unsettling directions. If those people find us, then we're really in trouble.
Were they college students? I guess this won't be as easy as facing Hinamizawa's elderly. We are fine, I think. They haven't found us.
I think this is a real pickle. The insane youths were dashing whenever they heard some commotion. See, Resident Evil Higurashi! When they killed those who fled. Those who begged for their lives, and occasionally those who stood against them. They were truly acting like bloodthirsty demons. That very sight was most likely what the legends of Oniyafuchi village were passing down.
Is this the office far from here?
In terms of distance, no. But if we're trying to avoid the main street, then it's surprisingly hard to get to. The main street's full of crazies either running around everywhere or killing each other.
Then let us practice safety first. Quiet!
We heard the rattling of an empty can rolling around somewhere behind us. Someone had kicked the empty can trap that Sadako set up earlier. They weren't keeping quiet either. We could hear loud voices of rioters drawing close. They finally started searching the back alleys too, in their search for more to kill. This is bad. They'll catch up to us.
But we can't exactly run either. They'll find us. We have to wait and hide. Bring those trash cans over here. Create cover. Hurry!
Hey-chan, grab that one! Yeah! It was an unfortunate mistake. Keishi's foot slipped on some of the garbage scattered around the trash can, and he went down, can and all. The loud clatter echoed throughout the back alley. Hey! I heard something! It must be another infected! Others responded to that call, their war cries full of madness and rage roaring in the distance. The cries came from both behind and in front of them.
It's a pincer attack!
We can't fight here! That'll only draw even more of them! We'll have to break through the front. Let's push through the office.
Ow! Seriously? Keiichi, did you sprain your leg?
Everyone's blood froze in an instant, because that meant they just lost their one and only best option. Mion lent Keiichi her shoulder and quickly issued orders. Sadako, find our way out! Rena, weapons!
I'm already on it! This is all I could find.
Rena held up a sign prohibiting bicycle parking. It would at least serve to frighten others if she swung it at them. But their greatest weapon of all was the look in Rena's eyes, filled with her resolve to protect her friends. Whenever Rena was prepared to defend something precious to her, she showed no mercy or hesitation. Sadako used her talented observation skills she had when setting traps to rapidly calculate what to do. If both forward and backward were blocked off, then they could only escape upward. If they used the trash cans as a stool and climbed up on those eaves, then... But they couldn't! Keiichi had sprained his leg. There wasn't anything they could do without a ladder. I'm fine! It's only temporary. This is nothing. It certainly wasn't so bad that he couldn't walk. It probably would heal quickly once he got some rest. But that didn't mean he could hope to escape those current dire straits.
Why'd you have to sprain your foot at a time like this? You really are a blockhead, Keiichi! If only we had a ladder!
If you're just worried about me, I'll manage. So don't worry about me and climb up there.
If you've got time to spout nonsense and start praying that I find a ladder!
Oh, God in heaven! Oh, Yashiro! Please, bless us with a ladder! If praying will save us, then I'll stick my belly button out and dance.
Mi-chan, a ladder!
What? There really was a ladder coming down from one of the eaves. Looking up, there was a lone young girl lowering a stainless steel ladder with shaky hands. They were usually pretty light, but it was pretty heavy for such a small girl. There was a pretty good chance she'd lose her balance and fall down.
Thank you. It's good now, so let go.
Rena took the ladder and quickly moved it into place. Kei-chan, can you climb? If I don't climb, then those other people are dying at Rena's hands.
Thanks. We can avoid more needless deaths if you can climb if you can.
Rena had already broken off parts of the wooden sign's frame, turned it into a sharp-pointed spear. Her idea was on a whole different level from just waving it around to scare people. It was both frightening and reassuring. Still, nothing was better than taking the ladder. That's my Rena.
Thank you. I don't know who you are, but thank you very much.
I suppose it is worth that. I'm good. I can climb. I know, but hurry! They're almost here! There's more of those infected bastards! A whole bunch, actually! Kill them! Kill them!
If you're out to kill,
then you better be prepared to be killed too, right?
Rena, please climb!
Once Rena climbed up, Mion quickly pulled up the ladder. The young girl gestured to say it was okay to leave the ladder here, before passing through the second-floor window via the eaves. Below them, the young riders were spouting filthy curses, as if they searched for a way to climb.
This way. This place won't be safe forever, either. Seriously, thank you! You saved our lives!
Are we going through another window?
There's no way those people won't climb up here.
She exited through another window and used an outdoor air conditioning unit as a stepping stone to climb into the neighboring building through its own window. Apparently, she had been traveling along the second floor of the shopping district to avoid those dangerous streets below. They continued moving like that from building to building and roof to roof, until they were certain they had managed to escape to a safe area. They eventually stopped at the second floor of a shop/residence. Apparently that was her shelter. We're okay. It looks like we shook them off.
They just started searching for other prey. Those people just want to kill. It's like the streets are an ocean full of sharks.
We're really thankful. You saved us.
No one knows if you're safe now or not.
Well, we managed to escape that particular crisis if nothing else, but I should thank you. So, thanks.
I guess I did earn your thanks. Right.
Sorry, I can't think of a voice for her right now. Since she kind of gives me a shy girl, I'm going to try to make it kind of soft and quiet right now. So I can't think of anything. So if I think of something, I'll think of something. So her voice might sound off sometimes. So you're just going to deal with it. She had no obligation to risk herself to try and save someone else. If she was able to lock herself up in tight doors, then her best option would have been to curl up and shut out all the other sounds.
I'm Maibara Keiichi. You? Une is what people call me. I'm Rena! This is Michan and Sadako! Nice to meet you! You really did save us at the perfect time! You were lucky, but that doesn't mean you always will be.
Well, luck is another kind of strength.
Is it just you here, Une? Any others? There were, but they're not coming back.
If she stayed quiet, she'd be safe here. Yet that's the sad nature of humanity. Once they gain safety, they want to risk danger. Whether it's wanting to make sure your family is safe or to return home, once a person finds safety, they can't just stay there. The place certainly was a shelter. There were dozens of plastic balls full of water lined up, and there were about 4 grocery bags stuffed full of candy bags laying there too. They didn't know how many had been there, but as long as they were frugal, they could hole up for 3 days. When people manage to create a safe space, they want to bring their family and friends into it.
That's true. Staying put here and ignoring what you hear outside might be the right answer, but thanks to Une, we're all safe. I can't really thank you enough for saving our lives.
Are there still many more violent groups like that one?
There's more than that. There's plenty.
Figures. Still, they're not running around in the middle of the night, right?
The neighborhood watch in Hinamizawa set up patrols after dark. They're frightened too. I do doubt they'll let their guard down and start snoring.
Even so, it should be a little safer than moving in the middle of the day. The Sonozaki Group's office isn't far, right? Well, not in terms of direct distance.
We should wait and observe for a bit. There's no need to rush. That's true. Une, could you tell us a bit about what's going on in the city? Telling you won't take that long.
I don't know if I like my voice for Une. I'm just trying to make it kind of soft, but I don't want it to sound like Rika. Because then they'll sound the same, and I don't want the personalities to be too, like, whatever, you know? Found it. It should open if I do this.
What'll we do if there's a terrifying ghost trapped in there?
Then you two can have a staring contest to determine which one's the stronger apparition.
Rika!
Yeah, JoJo stand it, JoJo stand! I'm sorry, I had to make a dumb joke. The strange repetitive sound that they heard was coming from the other side of the sturdy door labeled the emergency storage room. Someone was slamming themselves against the thick metal door. The idea made the most sense, at least. But why the emergency storage room?
Maybe someone was using it as a jail cell.
Who? When? For whom?
Even I, Oyashiro, don't know that!
I suppose that's true. The door to the emergency storage room was the type being locked from the outside. Given that something kept hitting it in there, there probably was no way to unlock it from the inside. Once she came back with a master key, the sound stopped for a moment. Maybe they were worn out from hitting it so much? Either that or they had gone quiet as Rika and Hanyu approached and were lying in wait for them. I'm opening it.
Anytime you're ready.
She inserted the key and slowly inserted it. There's no way. Oops. My bad. She inserted the key and slowly turned it. There's no way. That a level 5 patient was being kept quarantined in here, right? If there was, and the moment she opened it, they could leap out from inside and start attacking her. That won't happen. There's no way Eri and the others would do something so senseless as locking up a victim in a place like this. Even for the 100-year-old witch, Rika, it was hard to fight the curiosity of finding out what lay beyond that door. She didn't have any interest in this crazy world, but she could die at any time. So she wanted to see what happened to the world up until the very end. It wasn't some noble desire to watch over its demise, but the slightly wicked curiosity of wanting to see something scary. She slowly opened the heavy door. Through the slight crack came the foul, hot scent of sweat mixed with something rotten. The smell had made her imagine something more filthy than frightening. There was a light on the inside, and a sweaty man who was collapsed on the floor slowly raised his head. Tomitake. Hey, Rika, you saved me.
What are you doing in a place like that?
Oops, sorry, I need to try again. I messed up.
Tomitake.
Hey, Rika, you saved me. Sorry, I don't have a low voice to do Tomitake.
What were you doing in a place like that?
Who knows? At the very least, it wasn't something I chose.
Rika, look at the pipes in the back. Handcuffs.
Fastened to the pipes at the back of the storage room, there was a pair of broken handcuffs. He was almost certainly bound up in them before. Just how long had he been held captive in there, though? Judging from his surroundings, it had to have been more than a day. It couldn't be. Had he been locked up in here since this whole commotion started? He was worn down and exhausted, but it looked like he had just barely held on to his mind. By the way, has anything happened outside over the past few days?
Not much. In fact, it's finally quieted down. Rika. The villagers expressed terminal symptoms one after another, and now it's spread beyond the village and into Okinomiya as well.
That's terrible. What about Takano?
Speaking of her, I haven't seen her since this commotion started.
Could you summon Director Irie here at once? Something terrible is going to happen.
Something terrible has already happened and ended.
No, something even more terrible is going to happen. Takano's planning to spread Hinamizawa syndrome to all of Japan. No, the entire world! Apparently, it all started several days back. Tomitake had already been locked up in here, back when everything was peaceful before anything had happened. You awake, Jiro? He had been forced to breathe in from an ammonia. Blech. He had been forced to breathe in from an ammonia bottle. Tomitake's body wavered like a heavy lead as he slowly looked up at Takano. He tried to move his legs, but felt a cold, heavy sensation against them. Looking down, there were handcuffs on his ankles that were fastened to the pipes. Takano, what kind of joke is this? Joke? Heavens, no. This is truly a divine revelation. What are you talking about? I've been chosen by God, yes. This is all a divine revelation. Takano's eyes looked like she was delirious with fever, though she herself was probably calmer than ever. Still, to Tomitake's eyes, she looked like she was drunk on some strong liquor and caught up in a daydream. I wish you would calm down. Could you explain this so I can understand? Yes. Thinking about it wouldn't be that hard to explain in a way that you can understand. But I must tell you, even if you don't understand what it means at all. So you still want to tell me then? I'm a little honored. Thank you for saying that. You really are a special person, Jiro. And you tie this special person up in a place like this. I want you to stay here until the world is finished transforming into a new one. What are you plotting? No plot this time. It's a divine revelation. I've been chosen by God. Tomitake wasn't a fool. He had a vague idea what Takano was plotting from the exchange. Don't tell me you're trying to cause something terrifying to occur, are you? There might be something terrifying indeed, but it's God's revelation. I have a feeling something wonderful is about to happen, too. You're not planning to take the virus we're researching out of here, are you? I'm positive that all of our research has been for the sake of this day. God has chosen me. He understands my noble purpose. Stop it! I don't know who's instigated this, but that's not a divine revelation. It's the whisper of a devil. A devil? What a cruel thing to say. Perhaps you can't see the divine glory. Well, of course you can't. You're just an average person. Takano pulled something out of her pocket and tossed it to Tomitake. It was a box with a syringe and a bottle of medicine. He recognized it. It was a new prophylactic for the Hinamizawa syndrome, though that was only supposed to be in development still. If you would like to witness the new world, then inject that into yourself. If you're fortunate, then you'll avoid an acute outbreak. Stop this! You can still turn back from this! Talk this out with me, and undo these handcuffs first! Takano slowly lifted the attach case sitting at her feet. It wasn't an ordinary attach case, though. It was a special one, used to transport N173. If she spread its contents through the air, a wide range of people would contract Hinamizawa syndrome, eventually reach level 5 and cause a terrifying disaster. For Takano, researching the syndrome was her way of proving her grandfather's great work to be true. So it was a holy act, akin to worshipping God. He knew that. Yet an outbreak of Hinamizawa syndrome, and the terrifying ruin that would bring about, should not be her goal. He could not even imagine what sort of delusions had come to possess her, but she was prepared to do it, without hesitation. See you later, Jiro. If you're lucky, we'll meet again. Since this is an emergency storage room, you should find food and water within your reach. Knowing you, you'll be able to take care of those handcuffs, too. Even if I lock this door from the outside, right? As long as he had time, then Tomitake was certain he could break out of the handcuffs. But that would grant Takano plenty of time to carry out her terrifying ambition. Wait! Hold on! Takano! Wait! Are you planning to destroy the world? Heavens, no. I'm going to save humanity, as God has revealed to me, by letting his cute little children here fly free. That's the whisper of a devil. You mustn't listen to it. I hear the devil is elsewhere. Huh? The devil trying to destroy humanity has already appeared. God told me, and he told me I'm the only one who can stop it. What are you doing is the work of the devil. Don't let yourself be fooled by him. Don't worry. After all, God is always with me. Farewell. I'm going to Okinomiya. You're there, right? Yes, I know. I have to say, I don't know how to say prophylactic, so I probably messed that up. And like I said, I forgot to look up the other thing, so my bads.
How could this be?
As expected, I guess that woman never learns, so it's her fault again. We're too late. What a disaster. Tomitake was captured right before the incident, and had been shut inside here up until today. It was all too late for him to do anything. Takano had already spread the infection far beyond the village. Maybe she's already spread it to the entire city, or even the entire prefecture. Tomitake shook his head as many times as Rika described the present situation. Oops, let's do that again. Tomitake shook his head many times as Rika described the present situation. The reality was hard for him to accept, but the gruesome side of the researchers who murdered each other or took their own lives wouldn't permit him to consider otherwise. Tomitake entered the security room and started fiddling with the radio, but it didn't look like he was going to be able to contact anyone outside. According to the emergency manual, in the event of an outbreak of Hinamizawa syndrome, they are to employ jamming waves throughout the region in order to prevent the spread of chaos. Of course, the phone lines were down too, so there was no way to get crucial information about Takano's involvement to those outside. Apparently, they've already escalated to hazard level X2.
What does that mean?
It means the syndrome has spread to Shishibone City. At present, the city is quarantined off from the outside and all the bridges have been blocked off. Hopefully, Tokyo manages to do something within that time.
So all we can do is wait?
Unfortunately, that's not the case. We can't leave Takano on the loose. She had said, "A devil has appeared to destroy humanity. I'm heading to Okinomiya. That's where you are, isn't it?" I don't know what she's calling a devil, but...
We can't afford to let her have her way any more than she already has, right?
That's right. Takano is most likely still within the city.
If the bridges have been blocked off, then Takano can't get out either.
If she's planning to take the H173 and spread it across... Oops. Is it H or N? I messed up. Anyway, I'm gonna go with N. Because, like... if they don't keep it constant, like in the others, and all that other stuff, then I just get confused. So I'm gonna go with what I was going with. If she's planning to take N173 and spread beyond the city, she can't afford to be captured. She should still be in Okinomiya.
Tomitake, I'll help too.
It's dangerous. You should hide down here.
Right now, Okinomiya is dangerous even for you, Tomitake.
There are a lot of young people in Okinomiya. They'll be much more dangerous after handing their heart over to the demon.
I'm the Queen Carrier. If I'm not mistaken, I should have the power to calm down nearby infected.
Now that you mention it, I suppose that's true.
Trying to be a gentleman toward me is less important than capturing Takano and preventing the further spread of harm.
Still, if anything were to happen to you...
The worst possible outcome is already happening. Even if I were to die, things wouldn't get any worse than they already are.
Preventing this situation was exactly why they had to prevent disaster from befalling Rika. But their worst fear, a mass outbreak of level 5 symptoms, was already taking place without Rika's death. It made sense to him. Logically, the situation couldn't worsen. Besides, if Takano remained at large, it was likely that things would become even more disastrous. Either she would spread Hinamizawa syndrome throughout Japan, or this thing she called the devil would move to interfere.
If they're a devil for Takano, then the enemy of our enemy is our ally.
You have a point there. Alright. We don't have time to waste on debates.
Don't stop me, Hanyu. I'm doing this to save the world, you know. It looks like you're enjoying this.
Let's go! To find Takano! Tomitake borrowed a car parked at the clinic. In this world not dissimilar from a zombie apocalypse, a car was the same as a moving shelter, so as long as no zombies sprang up from the back seat. The car was heading into Okinomiya. Rika. Hold on. Okay. Hold on. Okay. Whatever. The car was heading into Okinomiya. Rika and Hanyu were relaxing in the back seat.
I was planning to wait quietly for all this to settle back down in Hinamizawa, but I've changed my mind. If this is Takano's plot, then I have to interfere.
Oops. Hold on. Let's try this again. Okay. I was planning to wait quietly for all this to settle down back in Hinamizawa, but I've changed my mind. If this is Takano's plot, then I have to interfere.
Still, what on earth could this devil of hers be?
Who knows? Maybe someone like us. Hanyu.
Yes, apparently it is someone like us.
Huh? Though they had just been inside the car, it felt like their souls were floating up out of their bodies. Next thing they knew, Rika and Hanyu found themselves in this strange, dreamlike world. What was happening? That sensation. Hanyu's expression had grown solemn, like when she spoke of her past thousands of years ago. That was when something akin to mist began to flicker and coalesce into a human shape. What? Who?
It's someone I hope to never see again.
Even the 100-year-old witch Rika was left bewildered, because she had never heard Hanyu utter those words before. Someone Hanyu never wanted to see again. Human-shaped mist, an inhuman being taking human form.
To think that we should meet again. Tamamura Hime no Mikoto.
I need to think of a voice for her, I'm sorry. Leader of the Horn People, Hanyu, I have no desire to meet with you once more.
I could return those exact same words. Why must I see you like this again?
You aren't usually so hostile.
We are enemies who refuse to accept one another. You must not trust her.
I guess you monsters hate your own kind. I will not permit you to call me the same as that demon hiding her horns. Know your place, priestess of the Horn People. Rika got a sudden headache from her sharp gaze. Her heart and eyes carried not only supernatural power, but enough rejection and scorn to cause physical pain. Thinking back, Rika had only ever received constant respect. No matter how many hundreds of deaths or years she had lived through, she had never faced such a hostile gaze before. Rika could only gulp hard in face of that. Hanyu, do you understand why I have prepared before you? What do you make of this disaster below us? Slowly, the mist cleared beneath their feet. Finally, Rika understood. They weren't inside mist, but inside a cloud. Below them was a sight like one might see from an airplane. Even without straining their eyes, they could tell the city of Okinomiya was below. Black smoke rose from various points in the city, and they could see a dark haze hanging over it. When they focused their eyes even more, They could see the people who gave their hearts over to demons killing each other in the streets. What an awful sight. Shudder with the weight of your own sin. All of this is the work of your kind. No shame, leader of the Horned People. From the perspective of humans like Rika, Takano was at fault. But from the perspective of inhuman beings like Hanyu, the disaster below was all Hanyu's fault. After all, N173 was Hanyu. It was the Horned People. Hanyu bit her bottom lip, unable to refute her claims. Takano had conducted the research to turn Horned People ferocious. Hanyu wasn't to blame for that, but that being said that these inhuman beings wouldn't allow a human to be blamed for that sin. We shall take responsibility with our own hands. You will not. That is unnecessary now. Know that your tainted Horned People will not be allowed to corrupt our lands any further. That's quite a rude statement coming from someone who is as much as a monster. Silence. Know your place, child of man. You are but the priestess of the tainted Horned People. Rika's head throbbed with pain again when Tamamura no Mikoto glanced at her. There was no doubt she was the same as Hanyu, but it was no longer even necessary to explain what the two beings were at total odds with one another. I never wish to speak to you again by any means. I, the leader of the Horned People, and my priestess shall take responsibility for ending this tragedy. You will not. Go home, tainted one. I shall take responsibility for resolving the disaster brought upon by my people's lands. You should return to your land of Hinamizawa and be shamed of your immature charges. Now be gone, Hanyu and the priestess. A violent shock shook her body. The very next moment she returned to the backseat of the car. It was all like a daydream. However, it was undoubtedly real for them. It had been the cold reunion between inhuman beings for centuries, or possibly even millennia.
Who on earth was that?
Wait, oops, sorry, my bad. Who on earth was that?
Tamamura Hime no Mikoto, the leader of the previous residents who ruled these lands before we ever arrived here.
I see. So there's no reason you'd get along then. Okay, before I start, sorry if my voice I chose for Tamura is like, I'm gonna call her that because I don't want to remember the entire long thing. Sorry if it doesn't suit her. I can't think of anything, and I don't want to just use a kid voice. Because I want to try to make them be taken seriously, so I don't know. So yeah. If I think of a better voice for her, sure, I'll change it.
Hello! Who's this? We were refugees, and it was a miracle that we finally reached this land. It was an incredible blessing to us. Yet we were coldly rejected by Tamura.
That was something that had never been recorded, even in the most ancient documents within the ritual storehouse. It was truly the oldest of myths, known only to Hanyu.
We wandered space for a long time in search of a place to live peacefully. After a journey so long, it could drive one mad. We finally made it to this beautiful blue planet.
Just what on earth are you people? I've always wondered that. You're certainly not some abstract being like a god. You're something that Irie and the others could have studied under a microscope, aren't you? The cause of the Hinamizawa syndrome was a virus, but there was no way a virus could be sentient. Yet it seemed to be the true identity of Hanyu's Horned People. Rika's guess was correct. Some science fiction stories have posed the idea that humanity is nothing more than a parasite upon Earth. So in that sense, Horned People are no different from humans. Humans are parasites upon the Earth, and they are parasites upon the human brain, which means that to the Horned People, the human brain is their land. If humanity continues to destroy the environment, then eventually it will kill the Earth, and everything living upon it will die along with it. That's why humanity must be kind to Earth, and strive to live in harmony with it. The same goes for the Horned People. If they cannot coexist with humanity, they will cease to exist at all. In that analogy, Hinamizawa syndrome is their destruction of the environment. When the humans become paranoid and mad, and resorting to self-injury, acts of violence, or killing themselves, and the horn people die with them. Once her reasoning reached that point, Rika had finally understood a bit of what Tamara had said at the end, calling them immature. Tamura Hime no Mikoto was, most likely, the leader of another supernatural parasite upon humanity. Yet aside from the Hinamizawa syndrome, she had never heard of any report of similar symptoms anywhere else in Japan, which meant that Tamura's race of people had obtained a means of coexisting peacefully with humanity. However, Hanyu's horn people had yet to obtain that same skill. That is why they were declared immature. Still, you can argue otherwise as well. Sure, there was a disaster in Onigafuchi village back in ancient times. Ah, the sirens being heard. Okay, I have to reread that part because of the sirens. Still, you can argue otherwise as well. Sure, there was a disaster in Onigafuchi village back in ancient times, yet they had spent many decades developing unique practices to control themselves and prevent any symptoms. But then a villain, Takano, came and interfered, intentionally conducting research to that. But then a villain, Takano, came and interfered, intentionally conducting research to turn them into a deadly virus. Oh, there's another car racing. I'm gonna wait again. Okay, I'm gonna try again. This incident in Hinamizawa wasn't caused by Hanyu or the Horn people. This whole commotion was caused by Takano developing N173, a new race of ferocious Horn people, and spreading them elsewhere. It doesn't look like that stubborn monster is capable of understanding.
She never listens to anyone. She always just cold and inflexible.
From her point of view, we're no different from the virus Takano spread and thus equally guilty. But from our perspective, it's all Takano's fault. She's the one who caused this great disaster. I won't be able to calm down until I punch that woman in the face.
I just hope Tamura doesn't get in our way.
It would seem the land of Hinamizawa was a land of the Horn people, while all the other lands belonged to Tamura's people. Just what is Tamura's people? Also, if she is also a human parasite, does that mean everyone in Japan is? Okay. Oh my god, Renner was right about the aliens! Okay, I'm done with that. We're about to come up on the town. I don't know what we'll find here, so be careful.
I know. I'll use Oyashiro's power to make sure none of the bad people come to us.
It'd be better if we never have to test that power of yours at all.
Tomitake, how do you plan to hunt down Takano in a town this large? Right now, Okinomiya is a dangerous town for Takano, too. Even if she brought a handgun along, it won't be enough to really protect her.
The mountain dogs were annihilated. Right now, Takano was nothing more than a lone woman. She wouldn't be able to last if she was attacked by the murderers wandering around with their terminal symptoms.
She's probably taking shelter with a colony of evacuees. Well, it's still dizzying to think about hunting her down.
Oh wait, no, this is Tomitake, my bad. Oops, I'm really bad at this. Let me think. Okay. She's probably taking shelter with a colony of evacuees. Well, it's still dizzying to think about hunting her down. If you're able to use your powers to uncover Takano, that would be perfect.
Can you do it, Hanyu? If I could, I already would be.
Another possibility would be finding a means of contacting people outside of here. If we're able to contact Tokyo, we'll have plenty of options. The reassuring thing about Tomitake was that he could act normal, completely unfazed, even in emergencies like this. That was probably thanks to the effects of the new prophylactic Takano had administered.
I don't know what Takano's thinking. Why did she let Tomitake live? She should have predicted that he'd become her very most...
Oops, my bad. My bad. I don't know what Takano's thinking. Why did she let Tomitake live? She should have predicted that he'd become her most difficult adversary in this situation.
Even after living 1,000 years,
there's still the occasional human completely beyond comprehension.
She's one of those people.
True. The one thing we can be sure of is that if we let her have her way, the disaster will spread to all of Japan. No, all of the world. I wonder if that happens, will all the monsters of this world claiming to be gods come to ream you out?
Hello!
Takano was talking about wanting to become a god herself. And there's you and that Tamama Hime no Mikoto. I see. The human world doesn't have a say in this matter anymore. Most likely, if Hanyu is to be called a god, then there must be a disturbance in their world. Humans have just been caught up in their mess. The more I think about it, the more... Oops, this is all Rika's reading. My bad. Most likely, if Hanyu is to be called a god, there must be a disturbance in their world. Humans have just been caught up in their mess. The more I think about it, the more I realize we're the only ones who can stop this incident. Oh, okay, it ended. Oh my god, that means Okanogi's dead! They took down Okanogi! And Amakusa! And... okay. Enough of that. Okay. Well, it looks like I'm done for the night. I don't feel like reading since... La 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 la. It's Resident Evil Higurashi! Oh my god. Okay. Woohoo! Okay, I am going now. Good night. I mean, I might play games later or something. I don't know. If I feel like it.